recording, showing up to your job. It's really nice of you. Good evening. Believe me if you don't, podcast listeners. It's just I tonight, I believe, unless the other ones pop in. They're probably busy playing Season of Discovery. I'll talk about a little bit about that. Just wanted to come on here, make up an episode. Haven't made one in a couple weeks, but wanted to come on here and talk about the latest state of play, which is not a conference, but a little show that PlayStation puts on. They do usually I think like 2 to 3 a year probably, and it's just mainly talking about their games and their projects that they have going on right now. So that happened a couple weeks ago, so I just wanted to go over that and then talk about the second phase of Season of Discovery, which is, if you don't know anything about that, it's World of Warcraft classic essentially, and it's just like they're changing a few things. So yeah, it's just me tonight. Like I said, they're probably playing Season of Discovery. I think Donkey's really liking it. QE is obviously liking it too. He played the last one. I think he got Donkey hooked, which is good. He's finally getting away from stupid ass retail. Wow, so that's good. Jordan, no clue. Hopefully playing. I don't think he's gonna play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo, which I understand, and I'll probably hit on that too. And then Rack, obviously, still doing his thing. I think with school and life. So shout out to the boys. So let's jump into it. Yeah, PlayStation did a state of play at the end of January, and it's a few games. Just talk about them, give them a little bit of my thoughts and whatnot. So the first one is Death Stranding 2, which, if you know anything about it, it's was I didn't play the first one, but it was weird. I do not understand it, but it was made and created by Hideo Kojima. If you know anything about him, he's a weird visionary genius, honestly. He helped Konami create the Metal Gear Solid series. Unfortunately, he's not with Konami anymore, but he has branched out and he does have he'll be his like second PlayStation like exclusive, but I know he is working with like Xbox and stuff, so that's good. Um, yeah, it looks once again even weirder of a game. I don't even know how to explain it to you because it looks like also Norman Reedus is in it. If you know anything about Norman, he's Daryl in The Walking Dead, which is awesome. Kind of wish I would have played it just because of him, but it didn't give me the vibes that I wanted to play it because I think you were like delivering boxes and stuff. So I'm sure this one is going to be just as great. A lot of people are looking forward to it. So, next one actually was another announcement by Kojima. He's doing an action espionage game. So that's his kind of roots where the Metal Gear Solid series came in. So it's going to be interesting to see his take, a new take on the espionage genre for him, and he's going to have the backing of obviously PlayStation. So if they let him ride with it, I'm sure it'll be wonderful. I don't know if it'll have the same charm as Metal Gear Solid, but look forward to that one definitely. Next up, we got Dragon's Dogma 2. This is a Capcom like RPG, kind of a cult classic, I believe, what most people consider. The first one, it's been a while since it came out, but everyone loved it. This game kind of reminds me of something like Morrowind or something because it's got a lot of weird characters. But overall, the game looks incredible, and I can't wait to play it. And um, hopefully, depending on when it comes out, does Dragon's Dogma 2? So shooting for a March this year release. Depending on if anything big in March, we'll see if I have time to play it. Overall, it does look great. And moving on, Stellar Blade. I have no clue. This is like a Japanese. It's not anime per se, but it gives you anime character vibes. And it God, what is that one? Near Automata. It kind of reminds me a little bit of that one because it has a female protagonist or main character and whatnot. So it's gonna be interesting. I'm sure a lot of people are gonna love this type of game. The combat looks really good, so that's one good thing going for it. Um, so next up we got V Rising. I think this came out what like a couple years ago. Now, yeah, it was a couple years ago. It was actually in early access. I don't know if it's like fully released now, but it's reason it's on PlayStation. The state of play is actually going to be coming to PlayStation, I believe, this year. So basically, you're a vampire, and it has some building aspects and whatnot. So that's pretty cool. If you're that type who loves to build, it's a survival game, so it'll hit that survival genre. Um, I'm sure a lot of people want to check that one out. As for me, probably not. I am a sucker for building and stuff like that, but I'm just not sure about the whole vampire if that can lure me in enough. Um, but I'm sure it'll get. I think it has pretty good ratings and stuff on Steam, so I'm sure it'll do well on PlayStation. Next up is this stupid game called Foam Stars by Square Enix. They're wasting their time. I don't understand why you are wasting your time on Foam Stars and I understand that you want to do other projects. You can't just stick with Final Fantasy and whatnot. But like, really? Although shout out to they're obviously they're never going to hear this, but I listened to another podcast, the Kind of Funny podcast, and they said last year's Summer's Game Fest they really enjoyed Foam Stars. It's like a if you remember the '90s movie Rollerball with Keanu Reeves, it reminds me of that mixed with I can't remember Splatoon, I think it is, where you're basically shooting colors all over the map to dominate with your team and stuff. So it's a little bit weird. I'm sure to find a niche market like any of those ones that kind of blow up like Fall Guys and whatnot. It'll have its day for maybe a weekend or something, and then obviously really die off. And then once more content comes out, it'll pick back up. So hopefully it does well. And, Square Enix can finally have another lower end project that does well for them. Probably one of the biggest ones coming up for PlayStation is Rise of the Ronin. It's another feudal samurai type of game. Um, I know, obviously you had like Ghost of Tsushima a couple years ago, and this is also made by Team Ninja. And anything about Team Ninja, they're awesome, and they know how to put out great games and whatnot. So I'm sure this will do great. The combat looks awesome. The traversal is looking pretty sweet too, honestly. So we'll see about that. I don't know if it'll be anything like a Souls like game in terms of difficulty and whatnot, but it looks great. And like I said, the traversal looks awesome. Um I don't know if the whole samurai genre type is being overplayed right now, but hopefully, PlayStation they're taking a risk or whatever, and I'm sure it'll be great. I think it's coming. Oh, it's also coming in March, the same as Dragon's Dogma. Oh wow, they're gonna kind of compete against each other. I don't know which one I would prefer to play, Rise of the Ronin or Dragon's Dogma, because if you um know anything, kind of the games I play, I loved Sekiro, and but that was a FromSoft game, so it was obviously meant to be a little bit harder. I don't know if Rise of the Ronin is on that same level, or it's just more focused on combat and storytelling and stuff. So we'll see which one I end up kind of diving into and whatnot. So um next up we got the Dave the Diver. It's like an indie game, like a Subnautica type thing. But I guess they're having like a little DLC with it, with mixed with Godzilla, and it's funny. Um, but it look. I'm sure a lot of people. I do believe a lot of people love Dave the Diver, so I'm sure they're gonna enjoy this little DLC or not spinoff, but collab. Yeah, collab with Godzilla and stuff. So um, next up we got Judas. If you didn't know anything about this game, um, all you really need to know, because it reminds everyone that has watched it, they've said it's Bioshock. So, um, I think it actually came from a couple of the developers of the original Bioshock and whatnot. So, Bioshock fans, I know they've been wanting something because it's been a while, I believe, since the last Bioshock game or mainline game. So, you know, hopefully this can itch or scratch your itch. Yes, scratch your itch. Till like another mainline Bioshock comes out, if it ever does. It looks good though. So, um, next up we got Until Dawn. I believe it's just being like it's coming to PS5 essentially and PC. So that's awesome. If you love the Until Dawn series, it'll be pretty good. Next up, we got Zenless Zone Zero anime. That's all I can say. Anime slashing. If you into that, you do you, boo. um, Next, it looks like Sonic is coming back in Sonic Generations, but with Shadow. Shadow is awesome. One of my favorite Sonic characters, definitely. Also, looking forward to Sonic 3. I'm glad Jim Carrey's coming back. And I mean, a little bit of spoiler, but if you saw the ending to Sonic 2, we're seeing Shadow. So that'll be great to see that. Um, and I think Sonic Generations is considered one of the best Sonic games out there. So it'll be awesome to be on the PS5 and kind of like remastered, even though, once again, I was listening to the Kind of Funny podcast. They said it's already been like remastered in a sense. So I'm not sure why they're bringing it to PS5, but it's always cool to bring um, Sonic to new gen and whatnot. He's obviously been around for a very long time with Sega and whatnot. So next up, we got the Silent Hill short message. This is, it's not even a demo because you actually play it right now for free. I think it's like a short mission of the Silent Hill series because they're trying to bring it back and whatnot. If you know anything about the Silent Hill series, freaky as hell. I never played them back in the day. I didn't really. It's not that I was like super scared or anything. They were just. I was playing like more Metal Gear Solid during that era, so I never got into it. Um, Leading into it, Silent Hill 2. I guess they're remaking Silent Hill 2. I'm not sure why they're not doing or starting with 1. Um, but yeah, they're essentially remaking Silent Hill 2. It's going to look amazing in today's graphics, and I'm sure it's going to run great on PS5 and whatnot. But I don't know if I will play it because it's Silent Hill is just it's really is for the creepy vibes and whatnot. There's not a lot of combat. Um so but obviously I know a lot of people are been wanting a Silent Hill remaster or remake or a new entry into the series after they released PT and stuff like that before Kojima left. So um next up we got Metro Awakening. It's a VR game for the PlayStation VR 2. I think it's in the Metro universe and whatnot. I'm sure, if you got a VR headset for the PlayStation, go for it because I know there's only a few games out there right now. Hopefully it picks up and the price drops, maybe consider it one day. But for now, we'll stay away from that. But the Metro VR game does look cool anytime you're in the form of a shooting type. It's pretty good. Next up is a pretty good game. It's already out now. By the time I'm recording this and putting it out and whatnot, Helldivers 2. This honestly, it it looks so fun to me because one of my favorite movies growing up in the 90s and whatnot was Starship Troopers. I loved that movie. It was very cheesy and whatnot, but it was just like, you know, mini 90s movies. But, and that was just like the vibe in the 90s, and it was awesome to grow up that. And even looking back, I could watch Starship Troopers any day of the week. Helldivers 2, the original Helldivers, Kiwi and I actually played it, I think, on when it came out for PS4 early. Um, it was more of a top down type thing, shooter and whatnot. Now they've switched to third person and whatnot. It really does look awesome. Um, everyone that I've seen talk about it and heard about or whatever, they're loving it. They're having so much fun with it because it doesn't take itself serious. You're just out there to destroy freaking bugs. It's awesome. Um, there's friendly fire, which is adds interesting things to your team if you're playing with some buddies and whatnot. So I pitched this to Donkey and Jordan Kiwi, but I don't think I got them on board. Obviously, with the timing, it's not going to work out. But maybe in the future, we can, if we have a little bit of downtime, we can hop into Helldivers because it looks like a lot of fun. I've heard the content in terms of in game is not a lot, which is it's okay. But if you want to spend like a weekend or two, just shooting some shit, yeah, go for it. And then lastly, I believe we got another VR game, Legendary Tales. Honestly, this looks like a PlayStation 1 game. That's how bad it honestly looks. So I'm not even go there. But overall, this state of play I thought was really great. Showed the biggest one was obviously Rise of the Ronin or Dragon's Dogma 2, whichever you really were looking forward to. Um, but obviously Death Stranding 2 was another big one that a lot of people were looking forward to. And then with the Kojima announcing his action espionage game, sure that got a lot of people hyped and whatnot. So overall, this was a good start of the year for PlayStation and some of their projects and upcoming games and whatnot. So to add to that, the following week they had another follow-up state of play, but it was the focus of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So that is their next PlayStation next big up and coming game comes out February 29th. Definitely looking forward to that. Hopefully, Jordan and I can do maybe a preview of it and then our thoughts a couple weeks or probably a month after that, actually, especially for me, because it's supposedly going to be like 40 plus hours for the main line and then 100 for the side quest and whatnot. So, 100% looking forward to this. I loved Final Fantasy VII growing up. Final Fantasy VII Remake was wonderful. Um, Rebirth is going to be even bigger. It's coming on 2 discs. When is the last time that we've had a new gen console have 2 discs? Like, that's just insane to think about. Like, you obviously PlayStation 1, you think about like Final Fantasy 7, they had 3, Legend of Dragoon 4, because they couldn't fit as much on there and stuff. But nowadays with the technology, they can fit so much onto 1 disc. But 100% so hyped for this game. I actually didn't really watch it. I just watched little bits of it and was like, "Oh my gosh, this is just getting me more hype for it." But I really watched a video today of this guy Maximilian. He's a really big Final Fantasy person, and he spoiler it spoils honestly a lot for a newer Final Fantasy VII player, but even more like if you just want to keep everything, out of your mind so you can experience it, I recommend do not watch the latest trailer and stuff for it because it's like 20 minutes and it's not just combat. It's showing some cutscenes, cinematics, what you could do in the world. It's awesome. Um, but it was cool to have their own dedicated state of play for Final Fantasy VII. And like I said, I 100% look forward to this at the end of the month. And hopefully Jordan, I don't think he's gonna play They did come out with a demo. Um, it's the episode like the flashback of Nibelheim with Sephiroth before he goes bat, insane essentially. But I played a little bit of it. I'm gonna finish it up hopefully in the next few nights, and just to get, like I said, even more hype and whatnot. So, but yeah, overall, the state of plays were great. I look forward to the next one whenever they do. It'll probably be the second quarter of 2024. Just talking about some more future projects and whatnot. PlayStation's still killing it. I definitely look forward to what Xbox is going to talk about, or Microsoft is going to talk about. Apparently, there's some rumors about they're gonna maybe get away from selling consoles and or they're gonna start selling their exclusives on PlayStation and Switch, which at this point, like, they live on the Game Pass. Let them do what they want to do. Put it on the PlayStation. Highly doubt PlayStation does the same thing and puts their stuff over on Xbox. That I am glad PlayStation is experimenting with putting their exclusives on PC. Um, it's getting shorter and shorter because I think Final Fantasy VII will be out in PC like 2 or 3 months after launch, which is great. So, um, obviously, a lot of people they don't. I think you still have issues with PlayStation 5. Like, it's still not where they want it to be. It's obviously a lot more accessible nowadays to get one, but everyone who really games, if they have a PC, so they want to play on a PC, so they're going to wait a little bit if they don't have that PS5. So, um, moving on to WoW Classic, or World of Warcraft WoW Classic Season of Discovery Phase 2. So, this is basically the original game, and it's their little how they want to do like a classic plus ish sense, where they're changing like they're keeping majority of the core things that happened in vanilla essentially. But they're adding twists to it because you know WoW Classic when it was released was a huge hit, and then they kept doing little things, but it was the same game that everyone played 15, you know, years ago. So they came out with these things called Season of Discovery, and there's like level caps you go up to, but they're because back then if you got the first one I think was level 25, um, and they had Black Fathom Deeps as the raid. A lot of people loved it. For phase two, I think level cap is 40, and their raid is going to be Nomergon. So obviously, if you know or played WoW Classic or Vanilla, Normagon was a 5-man dungeon in is it Ironforge? Maybe I can't remember what city it's in, but it's one of the Alliance ones. It's it's got the gnomes and whatnot. But it's gonna be awesome to see. I'm gonna have to get what Kiwi and maybe Donkey V is actually playing, but to see how they like Normagon as a raid. I think the consensus was for Black Fathom Deeps. It's pretty cool. So, um, some other things, some that I see. They're updating dungeons. Whatever. I think also the biggest thing in Season Discovery is what runes for each class. It's essentially getting them different abilities and whatnot that wasn't in the original vanilla or WoW Classic one. So they're adding a little bit of flavor to the original classes and whatnot. So I'm sure that's bringing people back. And from what I've heard, Donkey is creating a lot of characters so he can try out these runes. So that's great. Um, it's not keeping it stale and whatnot. There is a cool looking PvP thing called Beware the Blood Moon in Stranglethorn Vale. So I know STV was with the arena was always a huge PvP thing. So I'm sure that'll be wonderful to go into. Um, and I see one big thing: no more GDKP runs. I think Blizzard is trying to push for that. If if you know anything about WoW and GDKP, it's essentially gold. You're bidding with gold to get an item, um, or loot whenever it drops and stuff like that. So I think they're trying to stop that because essentially you can have the suckiest player come in there with just a crap ton of gold and just buy a piece of loot when it should really in terms go to someone who's been there and who's actually contributing to the raid. But I don't know how they're going to stop GDKP runs. So I think there's going to be like 4 phases. I think the next one's 50 and then 60. I'm curious to see what they do after 60. But overall, I think a lot of people are having fun with the season of Discovery. And hopefully, Blizzard continues to add on to that and doesn't get stale with, you know, Classic. Because, like I said, it's been, if you played the vanilla version, that's once. You go to a lot of people went to private servers. They played it again. WoW Classic came out. They played it again. Hardcore servers came out. They played it again. So, there's only so many times you could really play it in a sense, but at least the season discovery is adding a little flavor to it and whatnot. So, but, yeah. I think I'm going to end it there. Thank you for listening and, to continue to listen. Hopefully we'll get back in a couple weeks. And like I said, I'll talk to Jordan about possibility of doing like a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth preview, and then we'll talk about the game once we've completed it and whatnot. February is a pretty good month. I'm still playing Power World, playing the crap out of it. It's fun. It is getting to the point where I'm not, diving too much into it, but it's still keeping me, you know, interested and whatnot. The new COD season's out. Fortune's Keep is back. It's a wonderful small map. I definitely look forward to Rebirth coming back, but for right now, Fortune's Keep will do it. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna end it there. Like I said, thank you for listening. We got socials, Spatchy123 for Twitter/X, YouTube, Believe Me If You Don't podcast, Anchor. I think I put it on Amazon now too, if you got that. But yeah, and I'll end it there. And remember, you can continue to believe us if you don't. Peace.